semifinals where San Antonio swept the Clippers. I don't think San Antonio's going to sweep them this time, but I do have San Antonio winning this series in 6 games. I think San Antonio winning the series in 6. I think I can see them winning at least one game in LA and sweeping all 3 games at home. And I think San Antonio wins the series in 6 games. As I think it'll be a one and done, quick postseason series for the LA Clippers, and for all the talent the Clippers have. I don't think with the way they play and with the players they have, they can win the championship. Like I just don't see it. So I got the defending champions advancing and moving on. No, I can't even remember the last time the Spurs even lost in the first round. So I can't remember the time the Spurs didn't even have home court advantage in the first round. But I have the Spurs moving on and winning this series. I got Spurs, like I said, I got the Spurs winning in 6. And last but not least, with the 4-5 matchup in the Western Conference, with the 4 seed Portland Trail Blazers versus the 5 seed Memphis Grizzlies. To me, I hate when the NBA does this because, like, I understand Portland won the division, so you got to give them the top 4 seeds. But at the same time, it's like, okay, Memphis has the home court advantage because Memphis has a better record. Memphis won 55-27 during the regular season. Portland won 51-31 during the regular season. But why don't you just make Memphis the 4 seed, Portland the 5 seed? You know, because since Portland has the home court advantage, the way I look at it, since Memphis has the home court advantage, I just look at Memphis as being the number 4 seed anyway. Portland's the 5 seed. And I think this is a format the NFL should develop too. Well, not develop, but this is a system the NFL should adopt, I should say. You know, because there was a lot of controversy, you know, during the full NFL playoffs, where the Carolina Panthers won the NFC South with a 7-9 record, and they got to host a playoff game against the Arizona Cardinals, who won 11-5. And if they adopt the NBA's format, where the best team with the better record, gets home court, you know, therefore that game would have been played in Arizona instead of Carolina. We might have had a different result. I doubt it, only because Arizona's playing with the third string quarterback. But I think it's still a formula that the NFL should adopt. You know, regardless if you win your division or not, the team with the best record gets home field advantage. In the NBA's case, home court advantage. So Memphis is the 5 seed, Portland's the 4 seed. But like I said, Memphis with this home court advantage only because they have a better record than the Portland Trail Blazers. So this is the first ever postseason meeting between the Blazers and the Grizzlies. Memphis dominated Portland during the regular season. They swept all 4 games. The games really weren't all that close. The only close game they played was in January 17th. Memphis beat Portland by 4 points. But for the most part, Memphis had the way with Portland. And Portland does not go into the series at all healthy. Wesley Matthews is out with a torn Achilles. Aaron Aflalo is expected to miss at least the first 2 or 3 games of this series with a shoulder injury. So it's going to be difficult for Portland. I think it really is. And I think Portland, they have enough talent with LaMarcus Aldridge, Damian Lillard to win a couple games. But I think at the end of the day, Memphis will be too much for them. And I got Memphis winning this series in 5. I think Memphis they'll get it done in 5 games and they'll move on. So that is my prediction for the first round of the NBA playoffs. So a little recap here. In the East, I got Atlanta beating Brooklyn in 5. I have Toronto beating Washington in 7. I have Cleveland beating Boston in 5. And I have Chicago beating Milwaukee in 5. In the West, I have Golden State beating New Orleans in 5. I have Memphis beating Portland in 5. I have Houston beating Dallas in 6. And I have San Antonio beating LA in 6. So out of all the teams, I think I only got San Antonio as the only lower seeded team to advance in the playoffs. I think in the Eastern Conference, the top 4 seeds are all advanced. I don't really see any of the bottom 5 even challenging them. Even I think Washington will give Toronto a series, or because both teams are in the same boat, they really haven't played all that well all year. As far as Golden State is concerned, as far as the Western Conference is concerned, I really don't see. I think Western Conference will be a lot more exciting to watch than the Eastern Conference. As a matter of fact, the Western Conference, I think it go either way, 1 through 7. It can go either way. I think the only team in the West that actually has pretty much an easy series is Golden State. And even though I'm picking Memphis to beat Portland in 5, it really wouldn't surprise me at all if Portland were to win that series. The same thing with Houston and Dallas. Even though I think Houston's gonna win the series, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Dallas, wins this matchup. So it's just a huge rivalry in the state of Texas. And then LA, San Antonio, again, I think San Antonio's a better team. I think they'll eventually win it, but it wouldn't surprise me if that series goes either way as well. So I think the only team in the West that actually is somewhat of an easy matchup is Golden State, because I just think that right now New Orleans isn't ready to compete in the playoffs. But I think New Orleans is an up-and-coming team. They're a young team, and their time is coming. It's just not coming right now. So I got Golden State advancing in the playoffs. I got Golden State with the easiest matchup. I think Golden State will beat New Orleans in at least 5 games. So that is my playoff preview. As the playoffs will go along, I'll continue giving my my predictions and who I think will win. So I'll go round by round. So this is my predictions for the first round. When the first round's over, we can go off on what I got right, what I got wrong. Also at the same time, and then once the first round's over, I can go over who I got right, who I got wrong, and I'll make my predictions for the second round, and so on and so forth. And while we're at it, what the hell? I know the NHL playoffs started yesterday, but I might as well give my NHL predictions while I'm at it. So for the Stanley Cup playoffs, 2015 Stanley Cup playoffs, we have the New York Rangers. They finished winning as the President's Trophy winners, which means they had the best record during the regular season. The Detroit Red Wings, they made the playoffs for the 24th consecutive year in a row, which is the longest current streak in NHL history, and actually the 4th longest current streak in NHL history. Excuse me, I tell you that it's the 4th largest current streak in NFL history, and it's currently the longest streak in the NHL right now. Also, too, you had the Winnipeg Jets. They made the postseason for the first time since they were the Atlanta Trashers. And you also had last time they made the playoffs was in 2007 when they were in Atlanta. This is the first time they made the playoffs since they moved to Winnipeg in 2011. This is also the first time Winnipeg has actually hosted a playoff series since 1996, before the original Winnipeg Jets moved to Arizona to become the Coyotes. Also, too, the Ottawa Senators became the first team in NHL to overcome a 14-point deficit in the standings to make the playoffs. So the Ottawa Senators, made a huge comeback to make the playoffs. And also, too, 5 Canadian teams made the playoffs. That is the most since 2004. Also, too, the Los Angeles Kings became the first team since 2007 to fail to make the playoffs after winning the Stanley Cup since the Carolina Hurricanes. Hurricanes won the Stanley Cup in 2006, missed the playoffs in 2007, and the Kings became the first team to do that in 8 years. They won the Cup last year, did not make the playoffs this year. And the Boston Bruins failed to make the playoffs for the first time since 2007, as they became the first President's Trophy winner to miss the postseason since 2008, when the Buffalo Sabres won the President's Trophy in 2007, but missed the postseason in 2008. And my team, the San Jose Sharks, failed to make the playoffs for the first time since 2003, ending the NHL's second longest active streak for a playoff streak behind the Detroit Red Wings. So as we know, the NHL, they changed their postseason up a year ago. So what they did was the top 3 teams from each division, instead of doing East and West, having the top 8 teams in the East and West make it, what they did now is the top 3 teams from each division will make the playoffs, and then you have 2 wild card teams. So in the Eastern Conference, in the Atlantic Division, you have Montreal, Tampa, and Detroit. make the playoffs. For the Metropolitan Division, you have the New York Rangers, Washington Capitals, and New York Islanders make the playoffs. And then the two wild cards in the East, you have Ottawa and Pittsburgh. And then out in the West, from the Central Division, you have St. Louis, Nashville, and Chicago. In the Pacific, you have Anaheim, Vancouver, and Calgary. And the two wild card teams out west are Minnesota and Winnipeg. So here's my predictions for the NHL playoffs right now. As I think some of the games going on right now. All right, so we'll start with the East, and that is Montreal versus Ottawa. Right now, Montreal holds a 1-0 series lead against Ottawa after beating the Senators yesterday, 4-3. And I'm taking. I know there's a big rivalry in Canada, as I remember when these two teams played in the playoffs. I think 2 years ago, they had that big brawl, and there was some beefing going on yesterday when the Clippers, not Clippers, the Canadians, PK Subban clipped one of the Ottawa Senator players and fractured his wrist. So, like I said, Montreal right now is up 1-0. I think Montreal, who went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year, I'm picking them to go back to the East Finals again this year. So I got them winning the series in 6 games. Then you have Tampa Bay versus Detroit in the other Atlantic Division matchup. And this one, I think Tampa Bay, they are a good team. They've been on a roll this season. So I'm going to take them to beat Detroit in 7. I give Tampa Bay the edge because they have the home ice advantage. As a matter of fact, I think they played tonight. I'm trying to see let's see. Well, yeah, so Detroit won the first game, so they took home ice advantage, excuse me. So they won 3-2. So I still think Tampa will win in 7, but Detroit's still the home ice. All right, so moving on to the Metropolitan side of the bracket, yeah, the New York Rangers taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins, and the Rangers won today 2-1. They lead the series 1-0. Pittsburgh's been struggling all season long. I think New York will win the series in 5 games, and they'll move on. Then you have the Washington Capitals versus the New York Islanders. The Islanders won Game 1 4-1. They lead the series 1-0. I'm picking the Islanders to win it. I'm thinking the Islanders will win this series in 6. I got New York winning the series in 6 games. And now moving on to the West, on the Western Conference, you have the St. Louis Blues versus the Minnesota Wild. Minnesota actually won today, 4-2. I know St. Louis has been red hot. I think they had the best record in the Western Conference. Might be mistaken. Actually, no, it was Anaheim. So, yeah, it was Anaheim. Actually, Anaheim and St. Louis tied. But either way, even though St. Louis has the best record, I'm still taking Minnesota. I think Minnesota's been an up-and-coming team for a long time. I had them advancing. I have them winning this series 4-2, and I have them moving on. And, of course, my pick to win it all, the Chicago Blackhawks, they beat the Predators last night 4-3 in double overtime. I'm taking Chicago to win this series in 6 games as well, and I'm taking Chicago to win this one. And then the Pacific Division bracket, you have Anaheim taking on Winnipeg. Right now, Winnipeg's actually on top of Anaheim at the end of the second period. 2-1.